But what caused the financial success was not extreme ability. You know, I have a good mind, but I'm way short of prodigy. And I've had results in life that are prodigious. And that came from tricks. I just learned a few basic tricks from people like my grandfather.
What were those tricks?
Kind of?
Charlie Munger dismantled Wall Street's entire playbook, and he did it with a pencil, a calculator, and brutal honesty. At 99, he exposed how the financial industry hides behind complexity to charge sky-high fees and mask shallow thinking, calling modern due diligence nothing but a scam for the insecure. His message? Clear thinking beats financial engineering every time, and Wall Street is terrified of that truth. Munger stated how he and Warren Buffett built their multi-billion-dollar empire using nothing more than a pencil and a pen and a calculating machine and the compound interest table. He stated, "I haven't looked at a calculus question since I was 19 years old," emphasizing that sophisticated mathematical models are unnecessary for successful investing.
Calculating machine and the compound interest table, and I haven't looked at a calculus question since I was 19 years old.
This stands in stark contrast to Wall Street's obsession with complex algorithms, derivatives, and elaborate financial engineering. The most shocking disclosure came when Munger exposed what he calls the due diligence scam plaguing modern finance. He declared, "The weaker they are as thinkers, the more due diligence they do."
And I see these people doing this due diligence, and the weaker they are as thinkers, the more due diligence they do.
This statement directly challenges the entire foundation of how investment firms operate today. While Wall Street firms spend months conducting exhaustive analysis, Munger demonstrated the power of decisive action through his Anadarko petroleum investment. When Berkshire Hathaway invested in Anadarko, Munger and Buffett made the decision in approximately 2 days. Munger explained,
Warren and I have been together so long that just one grunt we can speak a volume.
"Warren and I have been together so long that just one grunt we can speak a volume." The investment was straightforward. They recognized that.
It's perfectly obvious the Permian Basin is our #1 oil reservoir, and we don't have another like it.
The Permian Basin is our #1 oil reservoir, and we don't have another like it. They secured an 8% dividend from a reputable company run by talented people, making it what Munger called a no-brainer. This efficiency contrasts sharply with typical Wall Street practices. Munger stated,
Based on the rules.
And by they were in a hurry,
Yeah.
yes, but you don't need perfect. If you're 96% sure, that's all you're entitled to in many cases.
"You don't need perfect if you're 96% sure that's all you're entitled to in many cases." While investment firms conduct endless analysis to justify their fees, Munger demonstrated that clear thinking and basic business understanding produce superior results. Munger's criticism extended directly to private equity and leverage buyout firms. He described how these organizations send armies of young lawyers out at high rates per hour to examine purchasing orders and conduct unnecessary investigations. He questioned whether firms that perform such extensive due diligence truly understand the businesses they're analyzing, stating,
I don't think people who are that insecure mentally ought to be in positions of decision-making power.
"I don't think people who are that insecure mentally ought to be in positions of decision-making power." The success behind Munger's approach stems from what he calls a few basic tricks learned early in life. These simple methods consistently outperformed sophisticated Wall Street analysis. His first major trick involves inversion thinking, developed during his time as a weather forecaster in the Air Force. Instead of asking how to help pilots succeed, Munger asked, "How can I kill these pilots?" This reverse approach helped him identify the two critical dangers: icing conditions and fuel shortages. Munger applied this inversion principle throughout his career. When considering how to help India economically, he would ask, "What could I do which would most easily hurt India?" This reverse engineering approach revealed vulnerabilities and solutions that conventional thinking missed. His second crucial method involves three-dimensional thinking versus the two-dimensional approach most professionals use. Munger illustrated this with a real estate appraisal case where a client owned hilly ranch land. The established appraiser calculated value using traditional two-dimensional methods, determining the easement was worth $125,000. Munger recognized that utility towers would freeze the grade. preventing the logical development pattern of moving hilltops into valleys. By thinking in 3 dimensions, he secured $600,000 for his client instead of the appraiser's $125,000 valuation. The third technique Munger employs comes from military artillery training: 1 shot over, 1 shot short, and then KPOW. This bracketing method helps determine optimal sizing and positioning in business decisions. He stated, "I've been using that mental trick all my life to determine appropriate scales and measurements for various projects. These simple tricks consistently produced what Munger called prodigious results, despite his admission that, 'I have a good mind, but I'm way short of prodigy.' The effectiveness of these basic methods exposes the unnecessary complexity that Wall Street promotes." Wall Street's resistance to Munger's approach stems from how the industry generates revenue. Complex analysis, sophisticated models, and extended due diligence periods justify higher fees and create barriers to entry. Simple methods threaten this business model by demonstrating that basic understanding and clear thinking often produce superior outcomes. Munger's criticism extends beyond investment firms to prestigious institutions. He questioned how universities with IQ average of 160 could make fundamental errors like running out of land. UCLA and Berkeley, despite housing Nobel Prize winners and brilliant faculty, failed to solve basic spatial problems that affected their growth and mission. This institutional blindness led Munger to develop his own solutions. At UC Santa Barbara, he designed a dormitory system that houses 5,000 students on 5 acres using ship architecture principles applied to land construction. The design includes a top floor serving as our town in the sky with great views, and efficient lower floors built with precast concrete and steel components similar to Costco warehouse construction. The university housing project exemplified another aspect of institutional inefficiency that Munger found absolutely insane. Standard university building codes require students to share rooms, saving only 20 square feet per person.
Can you think of anything dumber than building housing that's going to last 200 years when you force a whole bunch of unrelated people to live together and throw up on one another and God knows what?
Munger noted, "Can you think of anything dumber than building housing that's going to last 200 years when you force a whole bunch of unrelated people to live together and throw up on one another to save minimal space and cost?" His solution provided every student with a private room while maintaining efficiency and cost effectiveness. This practical approach solved problems that committees of highly educated administrators couldn't address. For individual investors, Munger's exposure provided clear guidance. His continuous reading habit, consuming approximately 1 book daily, demonstrates how ongoing education surpasses formal analysis. He explained, emphasizing the importance of developing learning methods rather than relying on others' analysis.
When I want to know something, I just learn it.
When I want to know something, I just learn it. Munger's approach offers protection against financial advisors who overcomplicate straightforward decisions. Investors should question advisors who cannot explain their recommendations simply and clearly. As Munger's grandfather taught him, "It's sinful to be dumber than you have to be." The broader implications of Munger's Wall Street critique extend beyond individual investment decisions. His methods demonstrate that bureaucratic complexity often masks fundamental insecurity and incompetence. Whether in investment firms, universities, or other institutions, simple solutions frequently outperform elaborate systems designed by committees. Munger's success with Berkshire Hathaway proves that straightforward thinking, basic arithmetic, and clear communication create better results than sophisticated financial engineering. His partnership with Buffett, built on mutual understanding and shared principles, consistently outperformed Wall Street's complex machinery. This philosophy explains why Munger selects easy problems rather than attempting to solve difficult challenges. He stated,
So I seek out easy problems. I've tried hard problems. It makes it a lot more difficult.
"I've tried hard problems, it makes it a lot more difficult." This approach contradicts the Wall Street tendency to create complexity where none is needed. The financial industry's response to Munger's criticism reveals the threat that simple, effective methods pose to established business models. when basic understanding and clear thinking produce superior results. It exposes the unnecessary nature of much financial intermediation. Munger's insights about Wall Street's complexity addiction provide investors with powerful tools for evaluating financial advice and making independent decisions. His tricks offer practical alternatives to expensive, time-consuming analysis that often produces inferior results.